Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're talking about the recent holiday, the 4th of July, or Independence Day for the United States of America. God bless. This Wednesday, while most of the country was celebrating, grilling outside, hanging by the pool with family and friends, well, while us normal patriotic Americans were doing that, a number of liberals and leftists decided it would be a good time to shit on the United States online. That's right. I saw loads of anti-American and anti-patriotic Facebook posts and tweets popping up left and right everywhere, and quite frankly, I find this deplorable. This is equivalent to calling someone fat and stupid on their birthday, or calling a bride a bitch on her wedding day. You just don't do shit like this, especially on important days and holidays like the 4th of July. But here we are. We're going to go over some of the worst lines I found today, and I'm going to tell you why they're all wrong about the United States. We're still the best. Don't worry, guys. Most of these haters are just butthurt about Trump anyway, when it comes right down to it. And I think Allie Stuckey put it best on Twitter when she said, if your patriotism lives and dies on who's president, you're probably not very patriotic. That's right. I know I wasn't shitting on America during the 8 years of Barack Hussein Obama's presidency, but I'm also not a wildly out of control leftist with Trump derangement syndrome clouding my judgment. With all that said, let's go ahead and jump into the first tweet. This one was brought to my attention by Diversity in Comics, who's a veteran and a patriot, so don't worry. But he found quite a gem that he reposted. A pretty troubling tweet from Tim Doyle that reads, "Happy birthday, America. No presents for you this year, as you fucked up a lot of stuff. Do better in November, and maybe next year we can have an impeachment and treason trial to celebrate." Rather delusional, I must say. First of all, what did America fuck up? Really? I know he's probably thinking the election of Trump and some of the moves he's made, but are those all really fuck ups though? Because I would say America's been doing the opposite of fucking up lately. We're winning everywhere, in fact. Better politics, a booming economy, strengthening our borders. Law and order has been restored, and yet leftists like Tim Doyle are saying we fucked up. America winning and our people being better off is a fuck up to people like this. And his priorities here really say a lot. I mean, the economy and our security improving is pretty undeniable, but because we don't have a president that Tim likes, he still says America fucked up, even though we're doing a lot better. This essentially means Doyle doesn't care if we're winning, if he doesn't have the leader he wants. And that means his real priority isn't America doing better. He doesn't care about our success. All people like this care about is getting their way and having Democrats in power, even if that means making the country worse. And I say, that's pretty sad and pathetic. Next, Tim brings up this ridiculous suggestion of impeaching Trump. In a treason trial? For what, dude? You can't just impeach a president because you don't like him. There are rules for this sort of thing. And unless the president has some sort of big illegal fuck up, you can't impeach him. And Trump has done nothing of this sort, by the way. I really can't believe this bullshit impeachment idea is still getting floated around out there. I even had a friend of mine mention it to me a few weeks ago, saying Trump could get impeached soon. And I'm like, for what? You can't impeach a president because he hurts your fee-fees. It's actually a really hard thing to do, in fact. Only 2 presidents have ever been impeached, Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton, both Democrats, by the way. And both of them were eventually acquitted by the Senate, letting them still serve out the rest of their terms. So, unless we find out Trump lied about getting blowjobs from interns, like what Bill Clinton did, then I don't think this impeachment is happening anytime soon. Our next tweet comes from Ann Molina. It says, Independence Day is a misnomer. It's a celebration of independence for white people, not Native Americans or African Americans who endured colonization. I refuse to observe that holiday. Juneteenth is the true Independence Day. Keep your fucking 4th of July BBQs and fireworks. And funny enough, her use of the term misnomer is actually a misnomer itself. God, I love this kind of irony, especially with radical feminist SJWs like Ann here. And obviously Independence Day is a celebration of the independence of white people. America was founded, built, and populated by white people, you moron. And there's nothing wrong with white people celebrating things, by the way. I don't know what this chick has against white people, but leftists hating on us shouldn't really be that surprising anymore either. As for the natives and Africans enduring colonization, well, that sounds like a fancy way of saying they lost the wars that came from the Europeans in their colonial times. Some of it was pretty brutal too, but it was also a different time hundreds of years ago. People were fighting for land across the globe, starting new colonies and new countries even. And despite the bad side of things, I'm happy all that happened because without it, America wouldn't be here today. This Ann lady is just a terrible, anti-American, anti-white bigot who probably got triggered on the 4th since no one invited her to a holiday party. And why would they? She sounds like a bitter, terrible person to be around. She says, keep your fucking 4th of July barbecues and fireworks, acting like she's opting out of celebrating, but I say she's the loser in her family and friend group who no one invited in the first place. And when she had nothing to do, she tried to play it off like she was not celebrating by choice, when really it was because no one wants to hang out with the gross, annoying, bigoted feminazi. Next, we have some foreigners from the United Kingdom trying to chime in and ruin our day, probably because they're still butthurt we broke off from the British Empire in the first place. Independent Voice Voices on Twitter sent out this on July 4th. Happy Independence Day, America. How's that working out for you? Well, it's working out great, actually. Thanks for asking. But I know you think posting a pic of Trump here somehow signifies America is having a bad time, but that's really not the case at all. All this does, this post and picture, all this does is show your bias and how the poster and Independent Voices really thinks. And this is pretty damn rich coming from an account that's based in the UK, who have had some pretty embarrassing, troubling stories coming out of there lately. But don't take my word for it. Take a look at this response from my buddy in the UK, Alex, aka Irate Bear on YouTube. He wrote this: people are sent to prison for trolling, criticizing religion, throwing bacon sandwiches into mosques here. The police confiscated someone's gardening tools and a potato peeler. People are trying to stop Brexit. We had hidden rape gangs for 40 years. You serious? Well put, my dude. And I'm truly sorry the British people are having to suffer through such a terrible, shitty Big Brother government lately. Any UK citizen with any common sense knows they'd be better off in America at this point. So when the Independent Voices on Twitter tries to bash us because of Trump, well, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude. Our next tweet comes from The Legend, who says, Happy 4th of July. Today we remember our colonizers who slaughtered the natives of this land and stole our ancestors from our prospective villages in Africa to become slaves and build this nation white people were too lazy to build to celebrate their freedom from Great Britain. And I know this is riddled with spelling errors, but to be fair, this kid only just graduated from a community college. Can't expect much from him. But it is troubling to see more young people getting indoctrinated with this anti-American leftist propaganda. First he says, remember our colonizers who stole our ancestors from our prospective villages. And that's an awful liberal use of the word our, I must say, pun intended. The truth is though, this kid never was colonized, and he never had anything to do with those ancestors in the villages in Africa either. The real truth is, the American colonizers didn't slaughter the natives. They warred with them for centuries. And sure, the natives lost mostly in the long run, but let's not pretend there wasn't blood on both sides. There was. Lots of it. So if you want to say the Americans slaughtered the natives, then you can just as easily say the natives slaughtered Americans. The only difference is, in the end, the Americans won, and natives are fading away more and more each decade. It is sad and unfortunate, but you're also not going to guilt trip me with some Pocahontas, Avatar, we're sorry about colonialism nonsense. That's just this guy on Twitter trying to push white guilt on us, and I'm not having it. And as for the bits about slavery, that shit was way off too. Funny enough, it was other black Africans who enslaved their own people and sold them to other nations. So to pretend white colonizers were going into Africa and ripping people away from their villages is bullshit. And on top of that, that small percentage of slaves that ended up in America, they weren't building this country from the ground up like how this kid claims. They were picking cotton and tobacco. And sure, the agriculture industry was a huge moneymaker for the US, but let's not pretend the slaves came over and built everything in America because of it. In fact, I hate to say it, but America probably would have turned out almost the same if African slaves hadn't come here at all. Someone else would have just picked the cotton. And by overstating the importance of this poster has actually made me realize and highlight how little the slave industry really had an impact on the United States, ironically enough. Next, we got a United States senator making a pretty stupid comment, trying to tie the 4th of July to immigration. Makes sense since Kamala Harris is from California, or California, as I like to call it. Her tweet reads as follows: a reminder this 4th of July, it was 8 immigrants who signed the Declaration of Independence. Happy Independence Day. And well, actually, it was 56 people who signed the Declaration, lady. Perhaps she means only 8 of those were, quote, immigrants, but that's BS too. They're not immigrants if they built the country, you dum-dum. The founding fathers didn't immigrate to the United States. They fucking made it. Now, I gotta warn you, these last 2 tweets are a little more disturbing. First, we got Thor Benson here with a blue check mark, and he's trying oh so hard to be edgy by burning an American flag on the 4th of July. What a putz. And just in case you were still wondering if liberals hated America, well, here you go. But wait, it actually gets much worse than this. Here's a video of an even more angry leftist assaulting someone for wearing a red MAGA hat at a restaurant in Texas. Check this bullshit out.
Supporting the president. You ain't supporting shit, nigga. Bitch ass motherfucker.
Okay.
It's gonna go great in my fucking fireplace, bitch.
Alright, have fun with it.
Disturbing, shocking, and quite uncalled for. That attacker was angered by a hat that literally says, "Make America Great Again." These liberals hate America so much. They don't want to see it great anymore. Let's face it, folks. And they probably always hated America too, in a way. It's just that now we can finally see it manifested publicly, which in a way is good too. We can see who they really are. And now we can clearly know who our enemies are, the liberals and leftists. Before we go today though, let's end on a positive note. Let's see what a conservative and our president, Donald Trump, has to say about America America on its birthday.
It was 242 years ago today in Philadelphia that 56 brave representatives of the American people adopted our Declaration of Independence. They announced to the world that America would be free and America would be independent. They pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. In so doing, they forever changed the course of human history.
Well put, Don, and I hope you're seeing the big contrast here, guys. While liberals are shitting on America on its birthday, calling us failures and colonizers and murderers, well, conservatives are doing exactly the opposite. Conservatives are the ones who really love this country. We're the patriots who love America and respect our flag and honor our veterans properly, too.
From Bunker Hill to Saratoga to Yorktown, American soldiers fought and died to secure our independence and to make a sovereign nation. Today, as we celebrate the 4th of July with friends and family, let us never forget that our freedom has been earned through the blood and sweat and sacrifice of American heroes.
Amen. And frankly, I find all this leftist hate and attacks on America at this time very fucking disrespectful to all the heroes who died to make this country what it is. The greatest nation in the world and probably one of the greatest countries in all the history of human civilization. In the end, we really saw the left's true colors this week. They may say they are hating on America because Trump is in office now, but like we said before, if your patriotism lives and dies with who's president, then you're not really that patriotic, are you? And I would say if you hate America now because of this, perhaps you hated America all along. That or these people are just trying to use Trump as an excuse. Something they say before they dish out all this mean and disrespectful shit. And I say that's pretty damn messed up, and it really needs to stop. What do you guys think? Is it inappropriate to shit on a country during its holiday? Would it be acceptable to do the same kind of thing to another group, like say, shit on black people during Black History Month, or hate on Jews during a Holocaust remembrance event? And what do you guys think about the terrible video of that guy assaulting and stealing someone's Trump hat? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. See y'all next time.